Hey,
Hey, this is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we have with us at WZRD via Zoom, EdVetté Jones. He is the community engagement member of the 24th District Police District Council. How are you today, EdVetté?
I'm well, a little tired.
Well, sorry to wake you up for the interview,
No,
but
no,
we're
no,
very glad to have you here.
thanks for
Well,
inviting me.
thank you. Thank you. So first of all, Evete, could you tell our listeners about what is the 24th, what is the Police District Council, and what is your role in city government?
Well, what the city council is a new elected branch of Chicago government, um, made up of the district council. There's 66 district councilors for the Chicago area, um, and there's three per police district. Okay? And there's three, there's a chair, which is Veronica Ariola, and
Mhm.
I'm the community engagement coordinator. And Dr. Marilyn Banks, she's the nominating member.
Mhm.
And um, our roles is basically is well for you, how it started. It started basically under Rahm Emanuel. Rahm Emanuel, that administration, after many talks with the public, decided that there should be a community-led oversight for the police. And so we basically answered that call. Many organizations did actually. CPAC was the first one, as you probably would know. And actually, I was part of CPAC too when it had started. Um, but very early on, and somehow, things got amiss, and I ended up going to GAPA, um, and that was
Could
from
you,
one.
yeah, could you tell us what the acronyms mean? So it's
Yes, GAPA.
some
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
that's okay.
yes, GAPA is for the Grassroots Alliance for Police Accountability. And that started around like late 2016. And we began to draft the ordinance. But through many trials, tribulations, it wasn't getting through to the city, and we found ourselves two groups who really wanted to make an impact and to see change in the city, CPAC and GAPA, but the city was putting us against each other, and we noticed that, but we always knew that we're both fighting, we're all fighting for the same thing, really, and that was to hold police accountable. After the Laquan McDonald murder, it was apparent that something had to change, and with so many things that the city has said that they did, and all of a sudden how was down, it never was the truth. And the public needed to know the truth, and to know the truth about why these young people of color, mostly, were dying, at the hands of police at an alarming rate. Now, if this is not, if this was the norm, which it has been the norm, but thank God, for the cell phones when that got invented, we would not have known just how deep these murders were, and just how many and how frequent it happened. It's not until then in social media that that the world started grasping the impact of the seriousness of the police brutality and the police culture, and especially in the city of Chicago. And as we know, if the history of actually of these precincts were racist. There were lines, the precinct was created to, to keep Black people in their communities and out of the rich white communities. That's basically what precincts were actually designed for. And they lived up to their names because before then there was no Black police officers when these things were when they said that, the police officers were not Black, they're mostly white. And did not live in those neighborhoods. It was basically always us against them, basically.
Mhm.
And so here it is, many years later, we finally have something that actually holds police accountable. And of course, it took a long time to get through the red tape and the bureaucracy. So it took up to 8 years from getting it drafted to getting it passed. And that's how hard the city fought not to get this done, and then to have a mayor who was Black, gay, and female, very marginalized, who ran on the bill, who ran on the ordinance, and said and said she'll implement it, but it didn't happen. And when the people got notice of this, that's when the people came on board. This ordinance was was for the people, and it was led by the people, and it was won by the people. And I know there was a lot of pushback um, of having of civilian oversight, and it was the polarizing thing was it was for defunding the police, and it never was. It was never, it never was about defunding. It was about reallocating that money. If you are part of public safety, why would it be so hard to allocate some of that money for this for this branch of government, this ordinance that the city had approved, that the people had approved? And here we are, the taxpayer. This is our money that we have put into the system to pay for the protection, to pay for the safety of our community. But here, that money, the majority of the police budget was spent on, as we all know, compensating families for the demise of their children or their loved ones. That's the majority. That's where a lot of that money from the police budget went to. And so, if you know, and so in passing this, if you were a part, if you are for safety, why fight so hard? Why why did the FOP fight so hard? Why would they put people on these ballots to destroy the ballot? And so this is an everyday thing that we're fighting. We're being told on social media, things of that nature, just for doing the work of the people. And that in mostly it's the fear, it's all the fear that was put in people about the defunding of the police and us civilians taking over the police force. And it was very polarizing. And it has given the district councils, it was a bad taste in most people's mouths. So at this point, it's very early. Um, our tasks, are to seek input from all residents about public safety, and also to amplify the voices of people impacted by policing. Um, and we also we advocate for evidence-based community vetted solutions to our problems, because I won't say our problems, it's our challenges, um, because these problems can be solved. Challenges is ongoing, and so this is something that's going to be ongoing because it's needed when you really think about it. When you really think about it, this is actually helping the community and also helping the police as well, because the police cannot do everything. And we do call the police for everything. And most things the community can take care of themselves. Now, this type of thing works in the suburbs. it works in, in smaller towns. It can actually, it can work in big city as well. It can work in our communities. If we want this and if the public work together, we can solve this. So this is nothing that is not obtainable. It's very attainable, but we got to have all hands on board, all hands on deck. I am a community member, just like you, just like everyone else who saw the plight of our community, who saw the plight of our people and wanted to make a difference. No one came, I didn't come to take over the police officer. I don't want to be a police officer, and I commend them for the sacrifices that they make. And a lot of them do make sacrifices, a lot of sacrifices, even with their lives. But sadly, this is what this comes with, and in order to reduce that, I always said that this is this is a this we need the police need us. You know what I mean? This is a joint venture. Public safety is a joint venture between the police and the community. And
Well, the
to
police,
think that right, and to think that we can survive without each other, without each other's help, and without each other's input, that is the reason why we are in the predicament that we are in. You know.
yes, definitely. When you mentioned that about evidence-based vetted solutions, are you talking about policing solutions and community-based solutions? What solutions are you talking about, and what kind of evidence might you have? Is it like when you were talking about some suburbs are already doing it? If so, which suburbs, and how
Well,
successful are
well,
they?
well. One thing that we've known about suburbs. When we go to the suburbs, many people, what we think they all, when they call the police. They stick together. It seems like they have this, those communities have something going on that actually have crime down in those, especially those suburban areas, you know. Um, and that is why most of the community works together, and those, whether it's to keep the bad people out, whatever it is, bad renters, bad home buyers, whatever. It's been all that way. It's been that way since the beginning, especially in the wealthier white suburbs. There's always been, to keep Black people out, to keep, certain demographics out, to have certain things in order to what they feel to make them a safer community, you know, to here in the big city, we're tasked with being multi-generational, multiracial, so even it also like it was it if when you think about it, this thing about the police brutality, it only got it only exploded through like I said, social media, but um back in the day when we had when they actually have things like the game to have things like peace treaties and the things that were now that Native Sons was bringing up about not shooting between certain times, those things were actually implemented back in the 80s and the 70s during my time coming up, and those things actually worked in our communities. Somehow,
Who was in charge of suggesting it and
the
enforcing
gangs
it?
were. The gangs were. The gangs and Black organizations were. The Black organizations actually went, and talked to gang members. They went, they were out there and was not afraid to, approach these people and say, well, look, we trying to save lives. We don't have that nowadays.
What happened? Why did it disappear?
Well, one, the influence on um, the Black culture. Um, when we look at, what actually, the music and all of those things that's aimed towards, the Black community, the alcohol, the drugs and all those things that glorify, you know, um, being what do you call a thug and this and that. This is glorified in the media. This is glorified on social media, and who makes the most money off of it? And is owned by the white-owned media, white-owned everything. Now, I came up through this era, and I saw. I came up and saw these, how the music changed, how the neighborhoods changed, and what the government did to change it. And now those things that that we put out on social media and that we put out, that makes everything look cool. And that's to sell drugs and to speak about selling drugs and to glorify guns and all those things, to glorify being a goon. All of these, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But yet when, of course, art imitates life. I mean, life imitates art. And here now they're acting surprised. We sat by as adults and watched this happen. And now we are blaming, and now the kids are dying and the kids are suffering from the things that adults are doing. The adults are making, are paying the money for this music to be played, for this image to be had. There's a lot of money to be made in keeping black people poor and dead. There's a lot of money in that. And I've been doing this groundwork for many, many, many years. And so if you want to know evidence, I got the evidence. I am the evidence. And many people my age are the evidence who saw what had happened. Now, if we really want change, now the thing is the people that we're scared of, mostly the Black community, how about embracing the Black community? And we don't see a lot of that. We see a lot of pointing fingers at Black youth. But the influence that the Black youth has is led by white-owned money. Okay, even here in Rogers Park, we get controlled by wealthy white people. And we know what they're saying about the gangs and them. And then we know who we're talking about. We know what demographic you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they're mostly talking about Black people. But when you look at the systemic, when we're talking about systemic racism, the things that have gotten the Black community in that predicament, with Black organizations trying to fight the powers that be. We have, we're, a lot of our Black youth are being ridiculed, for these things, but we're not saying, but we're not a lot of the white folks not looking at the systemic things that white folks are doing to keep Black people that way. You see what I'm saying? And any other culture, when you go, if you know me, I speak
Yes.
truly and I speak freely, but there's nothing that I say is a lie. I lived on the South Side. I've seen this with my own eyes. The food deserts, the lack of the lack of Black ownership in the Black community. Asians own most of the stores and the gas station and all those things. Where Black folks are just reduced to having a nail shop or a hair shop. There's something happened. That's not the community that I grew up in. But we knew the Black grocers and the Black community when the Blacks had that opportunity. Something happened. And it wasn't, and it was designed that way. So if we want to, we never get rid of gangs because gangs are everywhere. As the Trump gang that just got indicted. So there's gangs everywhere. That's something that you will not get rid of. But you can be strong advocates for your community to keep those things at bay. And to keep the crime down. And it's all about communicating. When you think about communicating, they don't want to say, so you want to talk to gang members? Or you really want to talk to gang members? I mean, they became gang members because they did not have opportunity to do other things in their lives. You know, people just don't join gang. That's not a curriculum in school to join a gang. You know, when our kids are coming up, they want to be so many things. They want to be lawyers. They want to be doctors. They want to be so many things. But when you see what was pushed into the Black community as being a rapper, a basketball player, you know, those are the two things that was geared towards Black young men. You know, so you know when you listen to the radio, when you listen to the music.
When you talked about pre
Mm.
I don't know if there's a lag between can you
Um,
hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay,
I can hear you. Yeah, that was, and I make sure it's not mine. Mine.
okay. Yeah, there is a little lag, so be patient.
All right.
When when you spoke about the precincts being created to
Mhm.
keep the Black and uh, Black residents separated from the white residents, was
Mhm.
then before that, were there Black neighborhoods where uh, the Blacks were able to create successful businesses?
Honestly, now I grew up on the south, basically on the south side of Chicago. Yes, there, there were Black thriving businesses, especially um, and the around the Kenwood area. What's that? What is the name of that? Bronzeville. Now, Bronzeville was called Bronzeville for a reason. It was called Bronzeville because it's the Black upperly mobile part of the city. And that's why it's called Bronzeville. It's not called Bronzeville anymore because it's called Bronzeville, but because of gentrification. But yes, there's also another place on the south side called Pill Hill, where there were huge, big, beautiful homes. Owned by there were black lawyers and doctors and all those things. We had those communities. So we had Country Club Hills was another affluent Black neighborhood. But when they had one, but of course, with the misdeeds of the city and of this, and of this country, a lot of the, what they did, especially Bronzeville really suffered when they had the housing crisis, and when that housing bubble hit, the majority of the people who was affected by it was Black and Latino people. Now, if this was not systemically done, it was not done on purpose. And then, then why is Bronzeville now gentrified? There's no white areas that you can go to and say, we're going to put a whole bunch of Black folks over here. But whenever it seems like whenever there is an upwardly mobile part of a Black or Latino community, they come to the gentrification thing. This is what happens, and this is the history of this city. So whenever Blacks do make progress, here comes the city to mess things up for them. And this has been happening. This is a generational. That's why, when we call generational wealth, Black, the things are created for Blacks do not have the generational wealth. We can't keep we can't even keep a Black community without it being, gentrified. And that is fear. That comes out of fear. If Blacks
So
up to, we could be,
in other words,
if
you meant that
Mhm.
when Black communities are when Black communities are successful, then
Mhm.
they're gentrified, and then a lot of the Black people become poor, and then the communities deteriorate. And is
Mhm.
that is that what you're trying to
Right.
address? So that
Mhm.
uh, what the police district council,
Mhm. Well, well, I'm sorry, I didn't. Can you kind of repeat that question for me? I'm sorry.
Yes, that's okay. It's there is a lag between our
Oh,
two feeds. When the when neighborhoods are like Black neighborhoods are successful and they have thriving businesses, are you saying that there are people that come in and gentrify those neighborhoods so that the wealthy Black business owners and the homeowners are priced out of
yeah,
living in that
yes,
neighborhood? A-
yes.
And
It's
you're
happening
trying
on
to address
the
that
south side
problem
right now.
so that Black wealth is able to be kept in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the ongoing fight, especially with gentrification. And the sad part about it is that we have aldermen and Black aldermen who, when it, who will get into these offices and just help them. If you've noticed that the South Side and the West Side, this is just up for grabs. It's a money making thing. You know, and each alderman cut off a little bit, and they leave office just as wealthy, much wealthier than they came in because they give in to these to the development. They give into those things. And then also too, what drove them out is big box stores, big businesses, when they Walmart, when those came into the game, those came in there. Well, those wiped out every mom and pop stores. It didn't matter what community you lived in, but when those big box stores came in, that was the end of a lot of entrepreneur things because everything that you sold, every store that you had, here comes these big box store that carries all these things for all the and they could charge as little as they want, because it's mass produced in another country where poor kids are getting paid 2 cents an hour, and shipped over here, and so we can buy it in mass quantities. So that's what killed the middle class, and I don't know if you recall the question that was given before about the theft, at these big brand stores, from people in the community. Um, when we have been desensitized to the common man and beholden to big corporations. These big corporations came and decimated our communities. They took the money from our community and make hundreds of millions of dollars per year off our communities, and they don't give it back. And they get this land for free from the city. So these people are making money hand over foot off of poor Black people. But yet you spot they there, but watch the community crumble around it. That is so that's where we're beholden to now. And who the majority of these people who's doing the thefts, whatever they say, Black people, Black and brown people, the ones who whose communities are being taken from them every single time. It's been marginalized every single time. It's been disrespected every single time. But we still wonder why why do we have these certain demographics, as they say, acting up, becoming game, and being unruly. There's lots of reason to be that way. And only how that that we can turn this
Are you
around.
able to
It's
are you
reimagine,
able
as we
to
say,
address
reimagining.
this?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Mhm. Such, yeah, are you able to address this? For instance, you said that the corporations come in and with the tax breaks, and then and then say that they leave because they say that they leave because of shoplifting and theft. And however, are you able to pin down these facts, and then
Of course, I mean, yeah,
maybe
these
have it in their agreements with the city that they cannot leave after the tax breaks are over, if that is the case, that is causing the problem.
I mean, this is something that we have to fight as a community. But we have to fight this as a community, and you know, and to in order to build, you know, the mom and pop stores didn't get a lot of even during those riots. The mom and pop stores did not get raided. The one that they knew that was in the community, a lot of those places did not get raided. Why? Because those people knew that they were from the community. A lot of the places that got raided was places that, you know, that the owners did not live in that community. You know, and when you think about that frustration when they do things like that, it's like, you know, they're taking and taking and taking and taking. And when they take our lives as well, then that's when, you know, enough becomes enough. And people don't understand that, they don't see that. You know, these people, honestly, people don't want to riot. Nobody wants these things. People don't want to steal. People don't want to riot. People don't want those things. But you have to look at the reason that it happened. We can't just keep looking and saying that they are doing wrong. They have been done wrong. Most of these young men and women do not have a leg up. They created these jobs saying, they getting $15 an hour. $15 an hour is not a living wage. You can't live. We've been fighting that $15 for how long in the city? For over 10 years, and we was fighting for 15, 13, $15 an hour. And now that it's here, it's not even a living wage anymore. You can't raise a family off $15 an hour, but that's a lot of what these Black and brown parents are making. You know, and so when someone goes to steal from a store, you got to understand that it's something that's deep there of the reason why they're doing it. And if we keep on just incarcerating, this is what happened with especially with Black folks. You know, little petty crimes, little petty things, they pack them all into these prisons, into these jails. That was, in saying, like I say, they're saying that how much money is being stolen from them, but they're not saying how much money they've stolen from the community. You know, and that's something that I think that as a community we need to look at and get those big box brand stores out of there, push them downtown, and bring in our own community. You know, how it used to be. The mom and pop stores that, that kept this community going, that kept the community growing. And when a family get wealthy enough to move to, a better community, it passes it down to someone else in the community. That's how it used to be. But it's not that way anymore, and it's done that way. It's been done that way, purposely and systemically.
How could the police district council?
Mm-hmm. How can we have so our
help? How could the police district council help fulfill this? Yes, achieve this.
Yeah, well, one, by actually holding real town hall meetings on real subjects. And I do, and I love the fact that we do have a monthly meeting. But me personally, I don't think that's enough. That's not getting to the meat and potatoes of what's actually going on in the community. We're not hearing enough voices. It's not enough time, and not enough time, and not enough minutes to hear these people. So I'm an advocate of having open dialogues, more open communications, on specific topics. If it's neighborhood trauma, which we are, that we are experiencing, we have to. That's the first thing that we have to recognize and to treat, and that's the trauma of what has happened in the past that got this community to where it is. And that's why I met with Tapestry 360, Mary Dudek, and Ariella from Trilogy. That's how, let's start with the trauma, because you have to realize too that a lot of these, when someone is killed in the community, that community is traumatized because that young man, that young woman, that person was a loved person in that community. And if you had imagined that, that the family members of these people who have been fallen, they have to walk in that same, most of them still walk in the same community every single day and look at where their son was killed, their daughter was killed. They walk those streets every single day because one, they can't afford to go anywhere else. And these parents and these siblings have to deal with this trauma on a daily basis. Who's looking
The
after
increased
them?
dialogues that you mentioned,
Yes. Mhm. Yes, in order for us to know how to treat whatever it is,
how
we need to know
how
what it
how,
is. And the community, and we need to, and the community know
so
exactly
are
what it
you
is that they need.
meeting individually with, like, say, Tapestry 360?
Mhm. Well, we
And
hope, yeah.
Veronica Ariola meeting with Trilogy, or are you thinking about implementing more meeting related topics with the community?
Yes,
Are you
yes, yes. Starting with
in more
trauma.
than once a month meeting with the community?
Yes, yes. I will. That's something that I personally am going to push for, as a community engagement coordinator, having more open dialogue in the community. Specifically based on sort of topic based on whether it be gangs, whether it be how to build more businesses, how to bring in more businesses. Whether it's on maternity, on things that matter to the community, things that that's what we need to have a dialogue around, and how do we as a community keep our young kids safe. We can't just rely, because right now we're asking,
How
I keep just asking about the police, the police, the police, the
how
police.
open are your how open are your fellow district council members to having more meetings, topics related? And how are you able to implement this? Does the uh, for instance, the city, the whole district council system, would they allow you
Mhm.
to have more meetings? Is every district able to implement as many meetings as they want, or are they required to have only at least one?
No, we're not. No, that's not a requirement. That we are required, to at least have at least that one. But we can do special. We can have special meetings, and we can have, we can have meetings with the public at any time. So um, I think topic based subjects is the way to go. Because like I said, in order for us to know what the problem is to fix, we know we need to talk about it. And so, and that's what we're not doing. We're not talking. Back in the day, when we had community meetings all the time. People that and how to, when it was a block party, anything like that. The community got together to say how what was going to happen. And you didn't have any people that was not afraid. You had community organizers that was not afraid to go to the gang members and to tell the gang members that, look, we're going to have this out here. We need your help to keep our kids safe. Y'all need to, we need to know, y'all, there's not going to be any, whatever it is, that you do, just, if you're looking out for your fellow drug dealer, look out for our kids as well. This is, I mean, we, if we can't, because one thing that we people figured that, we can't do, we can't, like I said, you can't just go and dismiss a gang. You can't just go and strong arm them and things like that. That type of thinking it's just it's not conducive to public safety.
When you
And
mentioned about
and if
reallocating funds, you know, and are you able to, you know, bring out to the public so that we know how much of the police budget has been used to uh, pay out the families of police brutality victims, and how
Mhm.
much is for police administration and
Yeah,
all
no,
that, and then how you want the funds to, how the district council wants the funds to be reallocated? Is it
yeah,
uh,
yes. That's what we are, that's what when we talk with the budget, the budget implements to allocate those, and allocate those monies to where, to where they need to go. Whether it's for um specific events or anything like that. There are certain things that the city fund and the city will not fund. Something is, and so we will have to be doing fundraising for ourselves as well in order to, to get things accomplished. And that is, probably, when we have those huge meetings and things like that, like city do not cover food. So we have to raise money to, if we're going to bring, have food for these events or whatever, we have to come up with that ourselves. So the city's pretty strict on things. So there are challenges, but that's nothing that Rogers Park cannot meet. We've seen Rogers Park in action. So when we know, so if Rogers Park knew, if Rogers Park residents knew that there was a community-based topic on trauma, they will show up.
mm, and
And because that's spending money wisely.
mhm.
You
And
know,
those are the kind of meetings that you're hoping to, at least
yes,
that's one of the topics that you're hoping to implement.
yes, yes. Also games.
Hmm.
You know, and how they pertain to the police and how they pertain to the community. Itself. These things need to be talked about. We need to be when we talk about entertainment, what I would like to do, as well. One thing I would love to do also too is to talk to radio stations, especially our local radio stations, to play our local music. And if we notice, the music that we listen to is music that's pumped in from somewhere else. People who don't, who's depicted by a conglomerate. Tells the radio station to play, like, iHeartRadio. Your radio station can only play this exactly what they tell you to play. They give you a playlist, and you play this. Okay,
Well,
and
not
that's
WZRD. If you were
right,
to send in music that doesn't have the not for ear lyrics, because we can't play
yeah,
any swear words, it's
right,
against
right.
FCC rules, then we, of course, we would definitely love to play your music, and we can.
That's the one of the things that Chicago is a very unique city. Chicago has has gone down in history for so many things, and music is one of them. We were one of the music capital of the nation, of the world. Chicago was, blues, you know, Chicago has its own form of jazz. Chicago, Chicago, the birthplace of house music, that we're just celebrating, that the warehouse, the warehouse being that building that the warehouse pub was in is now a historic place now where house music was birthed, and this is my era, and seeing the positive things that came out of the 80s and and things like that with the music and the culture, and that was everything in Chicago based the way Chicago is depicted now. That's not the Chicago that we know, and we really are trying to, like, Chicago really wants to get back to that niche that we had and who is us, and so that includes entertainment as well, because there are so many young aspiring groups and musicians that's in this city who's not being heard. Why? Because they have to fit a certain curriculum that's out there. If we can cultivate that here at home. And now Chicago was known to be like a bougie city. Chicago was the uppity city, compared to the other larger cities. Chicago was the city that worked. People envied Chicago because we did our own thing and we did it good. And and the world copied off of and now I feel that that they have like discarded Chicago. They took what they can and discarded it. That's how I feel the entertainment business have done. you know, when it came to Chicago style music. Chicago, we don't get a lot of that out there. It's mostly New York style. And I'm as an artist, this is something I follow as well. So I really would love for these, for the local radio station to play local music, you know, and that's vetted by the people, or was it a radio station, or each radio station that's in here have some segment based, so our kids can have something to aspire to. And honestly, I am a big advocate, of course, because I know we all know that life imitates art. And if there's something, these young kids have, like I said, there's a new era that wants to come out, but it's being stifled by the norm. And I really would love
This new
this.
era, is it less violence based
Yes,
mhm.
yes, yes,
And it's
yes,
being stifled.
yes, yes. It's being stifled. Yes, it's being
Yeah.
stifled. There, yeah. I work with a lot of young musicians, who has great music and rap music that's honestly great music, really good music. But who are they? We don't know who they are, and we should, and we should. Like I said, the only thing, the reason why they call the drill music, whatever, this is being pushed on our kids because this is what the conglomerates want. And I feel that if we want to change our communities, we need to push back on all sides.
So when you talking about all sides and reallocating funds for the police, uh,
Mhm.
are you as a district council members able to access exactly what the budget is, where the funds are going, and
Mhm.
is the public able to track the
Yes.
progress about
Mhm.
how you're trying to allocate those funds better, and how the city council is able to help, or how uh, the city council may not be able to help. Are
Mhm.
you able to do some of it on your own? The district council, are they able to do some of this work on their own, or does it have to tie in with the city council and their voting? And uh, is the city council voting on every police budget that the people are dissatisfied with, that they want to reallocate the funds to somewhere else?
Mhm. Well, when this is what comes from transparency. You actually, the city budget is available for public, so you can go, to the city, site of it.
Mhm.
Budget management, I think, it is, the budgets are a public thing. You can actually go and access the city budget. And yes, but a lot of those things will have to be fundraised. If we, especially, if you want like music events, a lot of those things have to be fundraised. But what the money that we need from the city, is the community-based programs, trauma-based programs, the treatment not trauma. Those things, those are the things that the city helps with. But anything beyond that, of course, that's gonna, I'm not a stranger to fundraising, yes, a lot of it have to be fundraised, but and
Oh,
we will definitely be allocating for that. So yeah, for the first year, my goal is to go around to organizations, to meet with organizations and meet with schools and meet with businesses to know exactly who we are. Because yeah, and I think our chair Veronica, they're going to be meeting with the mayor, the mayor's appointee for public safety. They're going to be meeting with them soon, and one of her asks is to have advertisement for who district councils are. We should have ads on the buses. We should have ads on all these places where where we should have ads around this city, telling people to get to know who the city councils are. Just and that is my firm view. Like we can do a lot of events, we can do so many things, but at this point we're fresh and we're new, and I don't want to cloud um the real judgment of what we really need to do. You know, I wholeheartedly believe in events, but right at this point, I need to know, I need to know who's in my district. I need to know who I'm fighting for. And who's fighting with us. You know, um, it's I since the implementation of of the CCPSA. Um, since I feel that I actually feel that the city we are we are in a much better place. I really do. I really do. I know that we're in a much better place because we never had the time where the community can actually speak. The community, and on a regular basis and speak freely. So the community, so we need to communicate with each other on what's actually really happening on a city level, on a government level, where it's not just, us, in a back room having meeting, this is now, people can know what we're talking about and people can actually get involved. And that's the biggest thing right now is people to get involved. We need to put our fears aside and get involved. And you know what? Change comes with no questions asked. Change when you want to change, you just do it. When you know it's there, you just do it. Change comes with no questions asked, especially when it comes to our safety and our future and our kids' lives. That should be a no-brainer.
you mentioned earlier the CCPSA. Could you explain that acronym to our listeners?
Yes, that's I mean, that's put me on the spot. It's one of those words. That's the commission. Okay,
Oh,
you put me on the spot. The
Public
commission
Safety Administration something. I forgot what the second C stands
is
for.
it's a public it's community
Maybe
community
City Commission on Public
the
Safety
city commission
Administration.
on public safety. Yes,
Okay, sorry about
yes,
that.
the city commission on public safety.
Okay,
Yes, I have to say that I have to get used to
what
say it.
about that young lady that was at the meeting? Could you describe to our listeners what's her position and how she helps move the district council work forward?
Her name is Elise Buford Johnson. Um, she's a retired police officer. Um, she, um, she she's very well versed, very well. She knows the ins and out and the policies of CPD. Um, She and her task is to basically to want to work with us, on things that one she's kind of like a secretary as well, because we especially as a community engagement person, we are our our schedules are going to be full, so so she'll be scheduling events for us, making an events calendar, basically, doing a troubleshooting for anything, making sure that we have all the things that we need from pens, paper, copy, all we to make sure that we need all the things that we need to be effective. Because we first started, because we don't have an office. We don't have we didn't even have a budget. We don't even have a budget right now. So it's like we're still new, and so right now her role is now, especially with us, is helping us engage the community to get to know who we are.
Is
And so
so is Alyssa somehow something like an advisor and secretary for you
it's
for the council?
yes. She's an advisor, secretary. She's a community engagement she's a community engagement coordinator for CCPSA, for the commission. So she's for that. And so of course she'll be working mostly with me, but of course for all of us, but helping to troubleshoot, helping to help implement programs, helping engage in conversation with the police, because she's, like I said, she's that's something that she's very she's steeped in that. So which is actually, at this point, there's there's
A lot of moving parts that
a lot of moving parts, and a lot of things that need that needs to be done. So taking it one day at a time.
Mhm.
Like I say, getting to know the lay of the land. Me, I still got to know. I still gotta get to know all my wards. To really get into each ward, to really to get a feel for you know the culture in that ward. You know what I mean? So this, I mean, this is it's a good thing. It's a good thing. That we have.
How many wards do you cover? Does the 24th District Council cover, and which wards are they?
We cover all of Rogers Park, part of West Ridge, and part of Edgewater.
Mm.
So that is the 49th, the 49th, the 48th, and the 50th.
And
Those are
yes, and you have a nominating committee and then
yes.
a community engagement committee. Are all the 24 district councils, do they have the same positions, or is it the council that decides what positions that community needs?
Oh no, they all have a chair, and
Mhm.
a community engagement person, and a nominating person. So
So the
all 66 districts, all 26 districts have.
26, okay.
Yeah.
And for the nominating, is that for nominating, let's say for the superintendent, is that what is the nominating committee for? For let's say if they have a new superintendent, they have a say in nominating nominating them.
Well, so what the nominating committee is basically it's for the district councils. What the nominating committee does is if there's a position opened that needs to be filled. If there's like if someone who wants to move to a different office or a higher position, those
Oh,
things go to the nominating committee. So what they do is they vet, they vet people out, to see if they are right fit for this, for the positions.
for positions in the district council or other
Yes.
positions.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the commission as well, the overall commission and district councils. Yeah,
So what
so
so what if a vacancy pops up in another district? Does
mhm.
the nomin do all the nominating committee members have a vote on who to replace in that district?
The person, the nominating person in that district.
Ah,
That's the person that they'll, how many people that apply for that, that
got it.
position or whatever, they have to vet those people out. That's just gonna be one person, it's gonna be like a slew that's gonna apply for those. So they have to vet those people out. And when they come up with it I think who was it, three, or probably they come up with, and then they all come together and vote on these people. Why the whole commission, the nominating committee comes together to vote on those.
Mhm. Oh, okay. So got it. So the district nominating committee person is the one that does the vetting, and then but then after he or she finds a person, then the entire nominating all the members
Yes,
vote on it. Oh,
yeah,
okay, that makes
you're right,
sense.
because I think they kind of like cross-reference each other as well.
Mhm.
So hopefully like no stones unturned. So.
Yes.
uh,
And this is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we have with us at WZRD EdVetté Jones, the district council member in community engagement for the 24th district. EdVetté, there is so much work that your district council needs to do. And are you bound by the Open Meetings Act? Because it seems as if the three of you do do need to discuss
yeah,
and plan. But are you bound by how do you get unbound by the
yeah.
Open Meetings Act?
Yeah, we are very bound by that, unfortunately, and fortunately, because I do believe in being transparent.
Mhm.
Um, but there's that two, so since there's three of us, two of us we cannot discuss business. And if there's three of us, it needs to be open, it needs to be open to the public, and we have to talk business. Um, So
So,
the community from the commission, Elise, she is kind of like a liaison. So the two can meet with her, you know,
ah,
in a
mhm.
private session, but we can't meet together because she has to take notes and whatever, and so everything has to be, on everything has to be open and transparent.
Mhm.
So she would be kind of the liaison, to if two people, need to talk about anything, and the other person is not available, she can be that third person, and we can actually we can have a private meeting.
Okay. And even two of you cannot discuss any council business. Only one of you to Elise, and then Elise brings the message and
Right,
discusses it with.
right, and that is the thing that's specifically involving things that we need as a council.
Mhm.
Things that we need, if it's pens and paper or whatever, or any type of issue that we're having,
Yeah,
we can
even
take
like
it.
planning the agenda for your monthly meetings.
Yes,
if the three of
yeah,
you
yes.
cannot discuss it, yeah, it has to go
No.
through her. Okay.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So, and
And
what
and
about,
also to the public, and so then the public has to be in agreement. So we have to open it to the public and say, this is our, this is what was agreed upon. Yeah. And,
Mhm.
we have to have all those dates way before, these days have to be booked in advance, so they
Mhm.
can't be, it's kind of, it's a lot to do. It's a lot to do,
Exactly.
but we want transparency. This is what we have to go through.
And
You know.
you're not really getting paid. It's only about $500 a month. Is that what you're getting?
Yes, unfortunately, it's $500 a month. But that was what was agreed upon. But there are, I think there are negotiations, with that, because um, there's and that those are, talk. I'm not free to talk about that, but because that's something that's ongoing.
Mhm. So, could you, if you can, what is the district council allowed to do? I know that all this that you've described to us is really valuable. Is there anything else that the council is allowed to do that you haven't mentioned?
There's not much that I do have to let the public know this, that we are not employed by the city. So there's a lot of red tape that we have to go through as well. Now not the commission, but there's a few, the staff are employed by the city. District councils are not employed by the city. And so that does throw a kind of a wrench into our outreach and to how far we can reach. And we think that we should be, members. We should be employed by the city, because there are so many things and so many boundaries that you cannot cross, that you're not protected. And so there's so many things that, so I really want the public to understand that this is still in its infancy stages. And so the district councils, we're still fighting for that reach that we do not have. And we will be transparent to the public on those things as they come. But yes, we are very limited in our powers of what we can do. And so there's like things that, like, for staff members, we can't access data,
Mm,
for it's like I said, one of the things that's ongoing. And we're new, and but me, um, and I am talking with the public, with you, and letting
thank
you
you for
know,
that.
yeah, to know that patience is a virtue at this point. Be patient, and and we need honestly understanding and help, and community engagement, in order in the dialogue, because honestly, the voice of the people is what's going to carry us. And if it's going to be successful, it has to be done together, because we came to this because the city was not meeting the demands of the people.
Mhm.
This is why we were formed. Now that we're here, we need help. We need those people to step up. We need the truth. The truth needs to be out there, and the city needs to know the truth, and just how, and just how, um just how bad, you know that we need something like this, because if we do not have this, the people will not be informed on certain policies and certain laws that the city have implemented. When it comes to housing, when it comes to the people don't a lot of people don't know those things. And
Mm,
that's what we're here to say. Okay, well, this is a new policy that the city is pushing, and this is going to how it's going to impact our communities.
mm. Yeah, it's so
So,
hard for you to do your work when you're not allowed to have access to research and data, because what you want to, a
well,
lot of this.
that'll be the COC. That'll be her job this time. If we need this, to research the data and things like that. So, that'll be her job, or because she's employed by the city.
Mm,
So, um, yeah, so that'll be her job, to do
okay.
the research for us, and things, for the district that she
Mhm.
works for. It's
Okay.
kind of weird. I know.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah, I understand that we get $500. They get all. We was elected, but they were. It's it's weird. It's a weird setup. It's something that, like I said, is new. We're trying to grasp with, um, because we need to be city employees if we really want to be effective.
Do you know if there's any other city in the country that also has the same kind of district council?
Well, when we did our research, when we started GAPA, we researched in two places that came to mind. That was in California, LA, and that was Seattle, that had kind of similar ordinances, but they're ran totally differently, because it has to be ran, that's, we can't go the same way that they had it because we're in different cities,
Mhm.
have different issues. But the city did try to adopt the LA model because it basically, let the police still off the hook. It's a very, yeah, from
Yeah.
what we gathered. So so from our research, we needed a stronger, resolution.
Mhm.
And but we did talk to those to those two cities, um, and and juxtapose it to Chicago. And Chicago had much more needs and much more needs to Chicago. I mean, Chicago, when it came to those numbers and the police brutality and the number of young men and women being murdered by the police, Chicago was astounding. It was a lot in Chicago, and that's where I feel that people had failed to see of why this was so urgent that we needed to have something like this. Um, like I said, this isn't this isn't. I wasn't. I was born into this. We're all, and now, no matter now what color you are now, you're born into this. You're born into this police culture that doesn't, that didn't respect mental illness, didn't respect, races, genders, all those things. It was just one way of doing things. It was their way, whatever they wanted, and all you needed to do was comply.
So, comparatively, Chicago is more segregated, and the police are more abusive than what was happening in LA. And so,
Yes.
and so the district council that was operating in LA is not would not be strong enough. What they're doing would not
Hmm.
be strong enough to
Right.
address the issues that are happening in Chicago, is what you're saying.
Right. Because, of course, LA is very wealthy, a lot of gated communities, and those, and and they isolated Oakton and all those other cities that, that black people were, they have like helicopters that fly around, they're how, they do aerial, so it's a total different makeup, of course, more sprawled out, more, just, definitely a different, culture. And like I said, a lot of this is ran by wealthy people, and a lot of those communities are gated communities. A lot of them, especially the wealthy, are protected.
Mm.
Here in Chicago, it's much denser. You know, and so they have to we have to reimagine how we did things. And of course, there were we had the South Side of Chicago. Chicago's a huge city, but the
Mhm.
South Side and the West Sides are big populations. And
Are are district council members like from different districts? Are you able to talk shop? Because it's like from different districts, does that still
Mhm.
that's not that doesn't that's not covered by the Open Meetings Act, is it?
um, if we
Yeah, if you
no, if we
if like the
yeah,
24 district council members talk with the 26
right,
district council
right,
members.
yes, we can do that. You can
Mm.
cross yeah, yeah.
And does that ever happen just to see how everyone else is doing?
Yes, we do. We do cross-reference, and we debrief, the community engagement coordinators would debrief, with each
Oh,
other,
uh-huh.
and the the nominating persons and the chairs, you know, they all can cross-reference each other.
Is there any citywide meeting of all of you? So
Yes,
that and
yes, we
when is
have.
have you had one yet?
No, we haven't. We're hopefully we have a quarterly one maybe in September. You know, if we have, I think we have it to this on in September. We have a quarterly. We have a quarterly. We also have an annual as well, where all the district councils meet.
Oh, okay. So
The,
accordingly,
the quarterly one is for the regional ones that we have.
oh, okay.
Like for the smaller ones, like but we have an annual one, or so I think it's either semi-annual or annual, where all the districts meet.
So they meet twice a year in other
They
words.
should meet twice a year.
Okay. Well, and it is a public meeting, right? Once you meet, it is a
Yes,
public meeting. And will you
yes,
be announcing those meetings too? And
yes,
mm.
yes. Mhm. Yeah.
I know that you're not employed by the city, but then are you do you know who signs your paycheck? What department?
Oh, that's oh, I get back to you on that. I do
Okay,
know.
that's
I did
okay.
see it, you know.
Yeah,
But
because it's weird if you know the city doesn't employ you, but then of course you
right.
are working within the city, and it's very yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. So we're considered contractors.
Okay, got it.
Mhm.
So even if the city pays you, it's still you're considered independent contractors. You're not on the payroll, in other
We're
words.
not. We're no. We're not. We're not. No, we're not on the payroll. We're
Oh,
just given a
okay.
stipend. Yeah, we're just issued a stipend
Okay. Well, then that means that you're an independent contractor under the city.
under the city.
Yes.
But we yeah, but we I say, but very little, very little reach, very little, you know, not a lot of bite.
Yeah.
You know, so
Mhm.
that's why that's how you know our team is you all, the public. So this is
Mhm.
who we rely on to get our message out because as we see we are stronger. We can be stronger than the city. You know, we got this ordinance passed. You know, the city got this ordinance passed, but we're together, not from you know, and this is how we get things done. This isn't something, and that's why I'll keep stressing this isn't something that was done by happenstance. This is something that has that this was years and years of 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 God oppression, depression, and and just enough, and so the people have spoken, and and this is our time. This is our time to speak. The world is watching us.
Mhm.
The world is watching us.
And you
You know.
mentioned too that a lot of Black lives were lost that are through policing. It's hard to pinpoint a number, but I'm sure that in the community you've heard the stories about that. Do you know of any way that you could get a number on that so that that's a number that you could use to
Yeah.
implement the change?
Mm. That we can get that number. Um, and you can get COPA and the police board. They have those numbers because they deal directly with those cases.
Mhm.
Especially with police misconduct. The police board does. So the police board will have a list like that.
Mhm.
Um, they,
Okay. Well, EdVetté Jones, Community Engagement Committee of the 24th District Council, thank you so much for joining us on WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And since you gave us so much information, I'm sure that our listeners will still have plenty of questions. If they were wanted to contact you, how could they?
you can, my city email address is edvette dot Jones Jones at cityofchicago.org.
Awesome. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, EdVetté. Good luck in your work, and we'll talk again
thank you.
in another interview. Thank you.
Thank you.